So, hey Scott, this is Rebecca with our first in this series of videos of conversations with coaches for soul happy success. And today I am joined by Renata and oh my days. So, Renata is an intuitive nutrition coach who is on a mission to empower women to nourish their mind, body, and soul. I believe it's the triad. And she's the author of #1 best-selling book, I believe, in Amazon. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Cookbook, Nourish Your Body, and also is my Texas soul sister. So Renata, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, my Scottish sister.
I love it. I love it. So today we're going to talk a lot about online networking, and I'm so hyped that you're here for this because this is literally how we know each other.
Yes.
So this is
This
wild.
is how we met.
So shall we tell people how we met?
I mean, it's a beautiful story, one that should be in a romantic comedy, I'm sure.
It should be. It is a romance story for the ages. Would you like to tell the story or shall I? Or shall
Well,
I
I think
tell it from our own perspectives?
that's what I was thinking because I'd be really interested to see what you thought of it. So from my perspective, we met on a virtual networking event. And I just remember very specifically like seeing you on the Zoom call and you were and are so vibrant and so bubbly and so fun. And I was like, she seems so cool. I wonder if she'll like me. And then in the event, you said how you wanted to have some people do some guest blogging on your site. And I was like, oh, I would really love to do that. And so I can't remember if I reached out to you or you reached out to me, but eventually I was a guest blogger on your site. And basically ever since then, I've just been stalking you on Instagram and forcing myself into your life. That's my perspective. What about you?
I love that our perspectives are pretty much the same. So yeah, we did meet. We met at it was a networking event, and you got like 1 minute to talk about what it is that you do, and then you got another minute slightly down the line after you'd heard about what everyone does, and then you got to say, I'd really like to work with this person, that person, the next person. And I also do not know who started our beautiful romance, but whoever did, well done them. We'll take 50-50.
Yeah.
But I do remember that call and thinking, dear Lord, this woman is so eloquent. I do remember that. And I was like, she has the biggest smile. And you were so intent on actually listening to people, because I think that especially with online networking, you can see this so much is you see people on the screen that are like obviously watching their TV or their dog or something. And it's like, excuse me, I'm talking, like, engage, hi, I'm here. Whereas you were like writing notes and you were like, yeah, I'm really engaged. And I think that when people talk about your energy, I think that that's one way it translates, is that you actually listen to people. You're actually thinking about, okay, what is this person saying? What are they really saying? Is this a person that I could vibe with or not? And I just remember you had nailed that. And yeah, then you guest blog for me. And then I've done YouTube videos with you, and we've done lives, and we've done lots of fun things. And we're going to hang out when I come on holiday in Texas, and that'll be great. So there's so much that's come out of this. And I think that with today being an insight into online networking, it shows as well that online networking can lead to in-person events so easy and having friends all around the world. And I think that's so magical. So I would love to know some of your first experiences or how you really got started in getting involved in online networking.
Yeah, this is such a great question because I feel like I've come a long way when it comes to my first experience with online networking versus now or more recently. I think that it was my first experience with online networking that I met you. So I had never been to any other like Zoom networking events, and I really did not know what to expect. So when we had to explain what we did in that 1 minute to a room full of complete strangers, I was very nervous and I didn't really know what to say. What comes with time and with practice in these online networking events is that you really get it down. You get your elevator pitch down, which is a great way to, number one, be able to hone in on exactly what you do and why you do it. And two, you can see the reaction from other people in terms of whether or not it resonates with them. So starting off, number one, super nervous. And I feel like that's a very normal feeling. Then being able to loosely say and then later on refine what it is that I do and why I do it. But one of the things I really recognized during that particular networking event was the feedback round, which is what you had said when you basically go back around the room to say who you'd like to work with or connect with further. And what I didn't realize was, one, it's a great way to just rehash or reconnect with people that had spoken previously. But two, you actually need to take the next steps. So I just remember specifically like noting down some people and saying like, oh, I'd love to connect with you further. Or like you said something really interesting and I'd be really interested to hear about your course or program. But I never took the next step with those people. And so clearly that's on me because it could have, blossomed into a great friendship like we have. But being a complete newbie to the networking or the online networking space, I really didn't realize that that was what I was supposed to do until I had some reps in. So number one, I think that the biggest learning for me was when you meet someone cool online that you think you could really work with well, reach out to them and continue to reach out to them because sometimes it takes one attempt, sometimes it might take multiple. And the key is just to keep finding those people that you really like their energy or you really like what they have to say and why they do it. And then organically build that relationship over time.
Yeah. I think that's an amazing learning. And I also think that that stands for so many different facets of business. So online networking, yes, but this is when you're following up with clients. This is when you're following up with potential opportunities. And I think that so many of us think, oh, I tried it once and it didn't work. Or, oh, I messaged that person 2 years ago, or I met that person 2 years ago and we've not spoken since. And it just takes one person. It just takes one person to make that next step, like you're saying. And that is something that you get with doing it more. But how you do, I know you've probably heard this, is how you do one thing is how you do everything, is like a very common quote. And I think that for this specific example, it really stands because if you're going to do that for online networking, you're going to do it for other things too. So if we're thinking about these are the great things that you can gain from online networking, so in terms of the benefits, if we both went to this online networking event, like what did we think we were going to gain from it? Because yes, you go in with an open mind and thinking, who knows? But did you have any specific aim? Or was there any particular reason why you were like, yep, online networking is really important to me right now. I need to be doing this?
So for me, the online networking was really important because I really didn't feel like I had a lot of people that I knew that were entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And so the majority of the women that were in this networking event were entrepreneurs or solopreneurs or were starting to build their businesses. In addition, it was during COVID. And so not many people were getting out during that time. So this was a great way to just meet new people as well and not feel so confined to your little bubble or your house or your apartment or your flat. Like it was just a great way to start this idea of online socializing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something that we absolutely need more of in the female entrepreneurship space is community.
100%. Yes.
And that's what these events try and build. So how did you find the event that we went to?
So I actually knew one of the hosts of the event through another entrepreneurial group. And so I had done an interview with her on her Instagram. And then she said, well, I'm starting this networking, you should come. And because it's me and I'm like, oh yes, I'll do it. In support of especially other female entrepreneurs. I was like, yes, absolutely, I'll come. And so that's when I first heard about the event and then committed to attending it. And I think this really speaks to number one, like when you know somebody, you're obviously going to go that little bit of an extra mile to support them. And so that's how I specifically support people. But the way that you support people might be a little bit different. Maybe it's sharing their posts or sharing their products or making a review for them. And that's awesome. So whatever way that you find is helpful, like even when you meet people in these networking events, finding different ways to support them, I think, is a great way for continuing to build community, especially with other female entrepreneurs. And then the idea of referrals is really important for me too. So sometimes you meet people in these events and you're just like, oh, actually, I know somebody that could be really great for helping you to leverage your business or build your business, or could be a great client for you. And so that's the other thing that I really love about these events now that I know more about them, because it really can be a great networking opportunity, not just for the people in the room, whether it be virtual or physical, but also other people that you might know kind of in your day-to-day life too, to get connected to someone that can really help them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that there's so much power in that. There's so much power in thinking, because I think that a lot of people think, oh, if I'm going to a networking event, I want business out of this. It must directly translate to money. And I find that networking groups online and networking groups in person, a lot of the time, it's actually going to result in probably money further down the line. Like, yeah, absolutely, if you get referrals and things like that. But if you don't go, you won't know. And if you're just in it for business, you're almost in it for the wrong reason. Like, yes, we love to build our businesses and make money. That's the purpose of having your own business. You get to make your own rules, and we all need to live, and we all want to live a certain way, and that's great. But I do think that the space for online networking is to grow those relationships to the point where everyone's winning.
Yes.
So it might
100%.
not be that this person is going to buy your product. It might be that this person is going to introduce you to someone, like a referral, that will be your next client. And it's a case of getting out there and making as many connections as possible, because I know that they do this in dating coaching. I'm far past my dating days, but they do this in dating coaching, and they're like, it's just numbers. And it's like sales is just numbers. So it's the more people that you get in front of, then the more likelihood you have of building a more sustainable business. And the more people that know you, the more people are going to refer what it is that you do, and the more people you can refer onto them. And this is why women should rule the world, I'm just saying. But exactly.
Agreed.
I've had this conversation 3 times today. I feel like I'm fired up for it. But in all honesty, even just a human that believes in collaboration would be wonderful. But that's the beauty of networking, is you can build those collaborations.
Yes, I completely agree with you. And I think that's why, one, we've worked together so well, but also that we've developed such a great relationship, is because it was never about like, hey, I need the sale from you. Like, why aren't you buying my thing? Instead, it's been like, how can I help you? How can you help me? Like, how can we collaborate? That is really, really important for me, not just from the perspective of growing an organic, like healthy relationship, but also from the perspective of energy. Like, we've talked about this a little bit before. When we come into a networking event with the energy of like desperation, like, I gotta make the sale, I gotta like hit the numbers, I gotta, like, it is really, one, easy for other people to pick up on that. And secondly, it's also a real deterrent. So I have definitely been in rooms with salespeople that are really desperate for the sale. And it is very off-putting for me personally to try to carry on a conversation with someone who is solely focused on getting my money.
Yeah. And it's painful for them too. Like, I think that sales should be a natural conversation. And this is where I think a lot of people go wrong with sales. So I'm in high ticket sales, and I think that high ticket sales is the bomb. Like, I love it. And I think that it's really important to know that the next client's on the way. You don't need this person, and don't focus on just the cohort that you have right now. Like, maybe the list that you have right now that's going a bit stagnant, that you're like, oh, like the numbers aren't converting, or why aren't people buying? Like, if you focus there, then that's where the desperate energy comes from. If you think, my next client's on their way, I don't know how. Like, if you believe in the universe, I do. If you have a creator, God, whomever, it can just be like, they're sending the next one. It's fine, they're on their way, instead of that like desperate energy. And it's not that sales is bad. And I think that it's forced sales are uncomfortable. And it's getting to the point where, and I mean, we're both coaches, is you actually coach people through a sales process. Coach them through the whole thing. And online networking can be the basis of you doing that. So yeah, absolutely. You might meet someone and you might be like, hey, you absolutely need this. Like, let me help you. But it might not be. You might go to networking events. I've been to networking events where nothing has come of it. And the people that were in the room were not the energy that I was looking for. And I was like, I'm in the wrong room, and that's okay. It's like, I went on a bad date. That's okay. So instead of being like, everything has to be perfect, everything has to end in a sale, this has to materialize instantly and lean on instant gratification, that we actually think, okay, this is the long game. Because how long have we known each other? 2-3 years?
Yeah, I think so.
A long time. So
Yeah.
3 years, and we've had some great conversations. And I think as well, this series of conversations with coaches came around because we have such great conversations in secret.
Yeah, without being recorded.
Without being recorded. So why don't we just record them and show how we actually speak and how we actually think about things? Because yes, we benefit. We benefit every time that we get together, but other people could too. And I think that that's the power of online networking and the power of finding people. And hopefully the people that listen to these conversations are going to think, oh yeah, there are people out there that are like me, and maybe they're not in my area. I work with a lot of women that live rurally, and their network of people is not as big. So maybe they are in a community that aren't maybe very supportive of female entrepreneurs. It happens, that aren't supportive of their dreams, that think that they should have the 9 to 5 or they should live a certain way. And they're thinking, well, I don't want to do that. But no one else is speaking greatness over me, saying that I can do it. And I think that's a lot of the reason why a lot of people go to online networking groups, is to find that, because it's maybe not necessarily in your town. Oh, have we still got you?
I think I'm back now.
You're back. You're back. Wonderful. So if you were coming into networking for the first time all over again, but you had the information that you have now, what advice would you give to yourself when you're starting networking? What do you need to think about? How do you prepare?
Okay, so I think I have two answers for you. I know you just said one, but I'm all
I'll
about
give you
abundance.
two. You're
Okay.
over delivering. It's beautiful.
So in terms of preparing, in terms of like the actual logistical stuff, understanding what is expected of you during the networking event. So for instance, the one we're referring to, there was 60 seconds to explain who you are and what you do. And then on the second go round, there was 60 seconds to say who you would want to connect with. I've been in other networking events where you get 5 minutes. It's kind of like speed dating, 5 minutes with one other person. And in that event, it's actually not about sharing, your elevator pitch. It's really more about just talking with the other person and seeing like, hey, do we vibe? Yes, no, cool. Like either way is fantastic. So understand the logistics of what you actually need to say or do during that particular networking event, because it can be different. And this just allows you to feel a little bit more confident in how you show up, because nerves are a real thing for, I would say, the majority of us. And going into a networking event for the first time can be pretty nerve-wracking. So if you know what's expected of you, that is awesome. The second thing that I would say when it comes to any networking event, online or in person, is to have fun with it. And I think this is where some people overthink themselves into a jumble of nerves and anxiousness and anxiety, is because we're so hell-bent on like trying to make this really great impression or saying exactly what I had rehearsed in the mirror earlier that day. We put so much pressure on ourselves. But one of the things that I would love to tell myself, and not just way back when I was starting with online networking, but even in my day-to-day life, is just have more fun with things. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with like having a laugh or, being pals with someone that you just met. Let's just find some more joy in the things that we're doing. And I think that when we can present ourselves with that kind of more lighter, happier energy, then we attract similar people to us. And honestly, that's why I think we jive so well, why we vibe so well, because we're really just like joyful people that want to help others.
Yeah, absolutely. Love those tips. Oh my God. Absolutely have more fun with it. Yes, that is the top tier. And I think as well, know that you're not going to be confident the first time that you do it.
Yes.
You're really not. You're going to be like, oh, this is really hard. And it's going to take you some tries. And it's going to take, like you said earlier, it's going to take some reps. It's going to take some repetitions of doing it multiple times before you nail it, before you realize what your elevator pitch is, for example, or even for some women starting out, because I work with a lot of women that are just like scared to share. Like, I don't want to share my voice. Like, I almost don't want to put myself out there. And to get to the point of confidence, you actually have to do the things that scare you. So if people are sitting there thinking, oh, this is like all very well good for Rebecca and Renata, like look at them, like they're just having a random conversation on YouTube, quite happy. But actually, if we think about it, then anyone can have that. It's just that we have done it more times. So Like, I thought that the first time I met you, I was like, she's so eloquent, she must do these things all the time. And you were like, this was my first one. Like, it's not sometimes as easy. And you maybe didn't feel like you were eloquent. You maybe felt like, oh gosh, there's only a minute. I've gone to 70 seconds, and it feels like panicky on the inside, but very rarely do we show it on the outside because we're all conditioned to care about what people think. So
True.
very rarely do we actually show the emotion that we feel on the inside outwardly. So I don't think I have ever been at an event where someone has stood up and been like, I'm just so nervous. I don't think I've ever been at an event where someone's done that, even if they've felt nervous. And
And
it's
can I
just,
just say too, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, you go.
Well, I was going to say that even if you do say that in a networking event, that is totally okay.
So,
And yeah, and that level of vulnerability actually allows everybody to relax a little bit and be vulnerable too. So say if like you're a jumble of nerves and you get up in a networking event, or it's your turn to speak on a networking event that's online, and you're like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm just really nervous. I'm sorry. Like I might jumble my words. Everyone is going to be like, it's okay. We got you. Like this is part of it. And I think that having grace with yourself, exactly like what you're saying, whether you're nervous or you're lacking a little bit of confidence in that particular time, it's all good. It's all going to work itself out.
yeah. And the thing is that they say that first impressions are so important and first impressions matter and all that stuff. But it's like, yeah, but your first impression is that you're trying. Your first impression is that you're there, that you showed up, and that you're in, right? It's game time and you're on the field. Like that's what you're saying when you just show up at these events. So what I would say is showing up with a positive attitude will change the game, because when you're on a networking event, it's just like if you meet a person that is all doom and gloom, then you think, maybe I don't want to work with that person. And it's not a judgment, it's just I need to be mindful of my energy and it needs to go in this particular area. So when you turn up at any kind of event, it's like actually just go back to what you said, Renata, and like have fun with it. Even if you're a bit nervous, even if it's a bit scary, even if it's completely out your comfort zone, then if you've committed to going, go and enjoy it instead of sitting in the back and not asking the questions you want to ask or saying the things that you want to really share. I think are beautiful pieces of advice for people.
I love that. So good.
So good. So good. So I would love to know, in your experience, what has been your most successful story, something that you hold really, really dear to you for whatever reason, of the outcome of a networking event, something you've experienced so far that you're like, yes, this event changed this for me, or this event brought me this person and that led to this. So we can have some success stories for people to go, yep, absolutely, this is a good idea. Look at all this.
Okay. That's such a great question. Okay. So I think that I will share two stories if I may.
You got
So
10.
the first, okay, thanks. So as you know and mentioned, I have a book that's called Nourish Your Body, a 30-day healthy and delicious meal plan. And what was amazing in terms of online networking is, number one, I met a whole group of women that are so supportive and so encouraging, that when I said that I was going to be releasing a cookbook, they all either pre-ordered it or they bought it when it came out. And when I returned to the same networking group, literally, I mean, it was a few weeks or up to a month after the release date, I was on a Zoom call with these same women, and they all held up their copy of the cookbook.
That's really nice.
I know. It was the most amazing thing ever, because literally at that time, I had not met any of them in person. It was all through online networking. And we just developed this bond because we spent time together every week or 2 weeks in this networking event, or in, one-on-ones, different things like that. And so, like you had talked about in terms of community, there's different ways to support people. And so when they saw I was coming out with a book that's, obviously talking about health, but also making it really implementable in people's lives, immediately they were like, okay, I'm getting it. And then it just so happened that we were all on the same call. They all had the book, and it is like, I mean, it's literally like birthing a baby. I have babies. You have plant babies, or so. So whatever kind of babies you have, it's like seeing someone else like holding something that you had like created from nothing, and then having them have such a positive relationship to it. That's one of the most positive success stories that I have from networking. The other is that, I mean, if you can't see the adoration that we have for each other in this video, then I mean, that is palpable. And it's not just with you. Like, I've met so many incredible women on networking events, and I've developed those kinds of relationships with them too. And in an age where, I mean, previously I had a career in engineering that was really male dominated. And unfortunately, in that industry, they really kind of pitted women against each other, which is quite sad. So what I love about this online networking space, especially because it was specifically for women, was that I developed such incredible, powerful bonds with women who were like-minded, women who were starting their own businesses or had, you know, an existing business that they were successful at. And it was inspiring to be able to see them, to be lifted up by them, but also conversely for me to help them out in whatever ways that they needed. And those are the relationships that you can't buy.
That's beautiful. If anyone has watched this and is not inspired to try online networking, I will be shocked.
Yeah, I mean, we probably should have thought of this and then said like, and we have a networking event coming up.
Yeah, we should have. See, we could have a potential business opportunity in the future because we are in it.
Right.
But more on that to follow in another video. But I think that that's really beautiful that you can show so many success stories. And the things that you can't show are the relationships that you hold the closest and are the people that, when things are hard, they're there for you because they've probably been through it too, because you're on the same journey. And when things are great, they're there to celebrate you and hold up your cookbook. And I think that's really beautiful. So for anyone that is inspired to do online networking, we do not have an event yet, but there are other places that you can go. So I actually came to the same networking event as you, and that was through a mutual friend. So there are people that are running these that you may know already. There are also multiple Facebook groups. You can always use a search bar in Facebook or Instagram to search for online networking, and things will come up. And sometimes you're going to have to go to some and they're not going to be that great, and you're going to go to others and they're going to be great. And that's okay, because greatness comes out of all of them, because you have more experience, you have more repetition, you have more confidence, and that will lead to positive relationships, potentially people holding up your cookbook. What more could you want? And before we leave today, Renata, are you ready for a quick fire round of random questions that I love to know the answers to?
Okay, yes, I'm ready.
So one is, what are you reading right now?
Ooh, I'm reading a book which is incredible called Boundary Boss by Terry Cole. She's a psychotherapist, and she's all about going from like a boundary mess, like having no boundaries, to being a boundary boss. And so this is the second time that I read it, but it's so good. I highly recommend. She also has a podcast.
Oh, that's amazing. So do you find that you're just like, I want to tighten some boundaries? Is that why you've gone back to the book?
Actually, it's because I borrowed it from the library and I didn't get all the way through it. So I borrowed it again from the library. But I do feel like, especially when you reread any book, you find different things in there that you're like, oh, I could tighten up on those boundaries, or I could like implement this one thing. So I think all of us have times where our boundaries are a little looser than we would have liked. And so that growth and that awareness of boundaries in particular, I think is a fantastic thing for all of us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And next question, what does your morning routine look like right now?
Ooh, okay. So I get up in the morning, I read my I am statement, which is also known as the created life statement. So it is basically 16 I am statements that I use to kind of ground and align myself in the morning. Then I go through my affirmations. Then I write out my I am statement as well. So not only am I reading it, but I'm writing it. And then this morning in particular, and over the past kind of week, 2 weeks, I've been getting up early to go for a walk because I'm in Texas and it's like really hot here. So my dog needs to go for a walk, and it's not so good when we go and it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which I think is like 40 degrees Celsius or so. So So we're going earlier in the morning, and then I came back and wrote. So I'm writing my second book, and so I did that, and that was like the perfect morning routine for me.
I love that. I love that so much. And what affirmation is living rent free in your mind right now?
Okay, this is one of my favorite ones from my Created Life or I Am document,
Mm-hmm.
and it is I am love. I am worthy and deserving of the most powerful and abundant love there is, my own.
Full goosebumps and shivers. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I'm going to play that back and I'm going to write that down. I love that. So just before you leave us, what are you working on right now? What's coming up for you? We'd love to know. And yeah, go with that. And then I'll ask you one more question. You can go.
Okay. So I am, like I said, working on my second book, and I was teasing it a little bit to you before we started recording. So the first book was all about the meal plan and like having ways to eat healthier that's really implementable, really easy. The second book is taking this to a whole nother level. So we're not just looking at physical healing, but we're also bringing together the science of food and the spirituality of food in order to be able to not just heal the body, but heal the mind, heal your emotional self, and heal your spiritual sense of self too. So like you said, it's the trifecta. It's bringing together all the senses, the whole being, and finding a new way of living healthier, but not just that, being healthier on all levels of yourself. So that's what I'm working on right now.
That's amazing. The next progression of what you're coming into is just blowing my mind. I'm really excited for you. It's going to be amazing. So hyped. And where can people find you?
Yes. So I'm on Instagram at nourish_with_Renata. My website, which has lots of nutrition guidance as well as a ton of recipes, is called nourishwithrenata.com. And then I also have a free Facebook group, which is called Get Nourished with Renata. So you can join that. And of course, the cookbook, Nourish Your Body, a 30-day healthy and delicious meal plan. #1 on Amazon. It's on sale right now. So it's kind of the perfect time to get it.
Mm-hmm. So if y'all want to be nourished, everyone now knows where to go. So thank you so much, Renata. I'm so grateful. Thank you to everyone who has watched. We would love for you to drop a comment below and tell us what your biggest learning point was, what your top aha was. And if you have any questions, we'll be in there 100% to answer them. And thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.